Ethan had never seen anything like the vampire city. Towering buildings glowed with blue light, streets shimmered under silver lamps, and shadows moved strangely, almost alive. He had always heard humans were not welcome here, but curiosity had pulled him beyond the border. Tonight, he wanted to see the famous vampire gala, a celebration of power, beauty, and danger. He stepped carefully through the grand gates. The air was thick with music, laughter, and whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. Vampires floated gracefully, their pale skin shining under the lights, their eyes sharp and glowing. Ethan felt a shiver run down his spine. He was just a human, ordinary and weak, and yet here he was. Then he saw her, the Vampire Princess Selene. She stood at the center of the hall, tall and elegant, her black hair flowing like liquid night. Her eyes were deep red, glowing faintly, and they swept across the crowd like fire. She was beautiful, terrifying, and impossible to look away from. Ethan tried to stay hidden near the edge of the crowd, hoping no one would notice him. But as fate would have it, Selene's eyes found him. A faint smile appeared on his lips, almost by accident. Maybe it was his nervousness. Maybe it was curiosity. But it was enough. Her eyes widened. For a moment, the world seemed to stop. The chatter of the crowd faded. The music slowed. Selene took a step forward. Her guards tensed. Ethan's heart pounded in his chest. He knew smiling at a vampire princess was probably the most dangerous thing he had ever done. And yet it felt right. Who is this human? Selene's voice cut through the hall. It was soft, melodic, but it carried a sharp edge. Everyone turned to look. Ethan felt dozens of eyes on him, both human and vampire, filled with curiosity, fear, and suspicion. Before he could answer, Selene moved closer. Her red eyes locked onto his, and she raised her hand. "Let him be known," she said. "This man, he will be my future husband." The room gasped. Guards stepped forward, but Selene waved them back. Ethan froze. He opened his mouth, but no words came. His mind raced. Future husband? Me? Are they joking? Is this a trap? Selene smiled, a mix of amusement and challenge. She walked past him, brushing her fingers lightly against his shoulder. The touch sent a chill down Ethan's spine. The crowd whispered, some shocked, some laughing nervously, but all eyes stayed on him. Ethan wanted to run. He wanted to disappear. But something in Selene's gaze held him still. It was not just power. It was curiosity, a test. He realized then that this was only the beginning. His ordinary life had ended the moment he smiled at her. The guard approached, more carefully now, watching every move. Selene circled him slowly, like a predator inspecting prey. "Do not be afraid," she said softly, but her eyes glinted with mischief. "If you survive the night, you may find your place at my side." Ethan's stomach twisted. Survive the night? He realized that smiling at her had set in motion something he could not control. This was not a game. This was danger and adventure. Suddenly, a shadow flickered behind the crowd. Someone, or something, was moving toward him. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. Selene's smile widened. "Do you see that?" she whispered, almost to herself. "Your first challenge begins." Ethan felt fear and excitement mix in his chest. He was about to step into a world of vampires, power, and secrets. The night was young, and the vampire princess had chosen him. And somehow, he knew, his life would never be the same again. Ethan barely had time to catch his breath before Selene led him deeper into the palace. The walls were black marble, glowing veins of crimson light running through them. Shadows shifted as if alive, whispering secrets to those who dared to listen. Ethan's hands trembled. Every step felt like he was walking into a trap. Selene walked beside him, her elegance effortless, but there was something dangerous in the way she moved. "Do not be afraid, Ethan," she said softly. "You have been chosen, and only those who survive my games may find their place by my side." Ethan swallowed hard. Games? What kind of games? He followed her into a grand hall. The room was enormous, filled with floating candles and mirrors that reflected impossible angles. At the far end, a council of vampires watched silently, their eyes glowing faintly. Selene stopped in the center, and turned to face Ethan. "You are about to take the first step," she said, her red eyes gleaming. "These are not ordinary tests. They will challenge your courage, your mind, and your heart. Fail, and—" She let the sentence hang. Ethan felt a shiver run down his spine. He had survived small dangers before, but nothing like this. Selene clapped her hands once. The mirrors around them began to shimmer. Suddenly, shadows leaped out, forming walls of darkness that blocked every exit. The hall had transformed into a labyrinth. Ethan realized then, this was the first trial. He took a cautious step forward, trying to stay calm. Every turn of the labyrinth seemed endless. Strange whispers echoed around him, some mocking, some seductive. Shadows moved just out of sight, testing his nerves. Ethan's pulse raced. "I can't fail. I have to survive." Then, a strange figure appeared in the shadows. A vampire, but smaller, almost like a child. Its eyes glowed bright yellow, and it lunged at Ethan. He dodged instinctively, barely escaping, his heart pounding. Selene's voice echoed softly, almost teasing. "Use your mind, human. Strength alone will not save you." Ethan looked around. The shadows responded to fear, to hesitation. He remembered something from his training as an explorer. Calmness often wins where force fails. Slowly, he walked forward, thinking carefully. He noticed the shadows seemed to avoid direct eye contact. He began using this to his advantage, tricking the illusions into moving the wrong way. Hours, or maybe minutes, he cannot tell, passed. Every step tested him. Every turn challenged him. And all the while, he could feel Selene's eyes watching him, a silent, thrilling presence that made his heart ache with both fear and something else. Curiosity, admiration, perhaps even attraction. Finally, he reached the center of the labyrinth. A glowing pedestal rose from the ground, and on it was a small, black orb. Ethan's hand hovered over it. He knew instinctively that touching it would end the trial. As he grasped the orb, the shadows vanished instantly. The labyrinth melted away, leaving him standing alone in the grand hall again. Selene approached, her smile radiant, almost cruel in its perfection. "Well done, Ethan," she said, her voice soft, yet powerful. "You passed the first test, but the night is far from over. These games are only the beginning. I have many more for you, tests that will reveal who you truly are." Ethan's chest heaved. He had survived, but he knew deep down that this was not just a game of courage. It was a game of survival, of wits, and of heart. And Selene, she was both the judge and the danger. Just as he thought he could rest, the shadows in the corners of the hall flickered again. Something moved there, faster than human eyes could follow. Ethan's stomach twisted. He was not alone. Someone, or something, was waiting for him. Selene's eyes gleamed as she whispered, almost to herself, "Let the real game begin." Ethan realized with a chill that the night had only just started, and he was already trapped in the Vampire Princess's world. A world of beauty, danger, and deadly games. Ethan thought he had survived the first trial, but the moment he stepped into the next hall, he realized he was far from safe. The grand hall was quiet now, almost too quiet. Shadows clung to the walls like living things, moving even though no breeze stirred. The air was thick, smelling faintly of cold iron and something darker, danger. Selene followed him, her eyes scanning the room with a predator's precision. "You've done well so far," she said, her voice soft, almost playful. "But not everyone here wants to see you succeed." Ethan's stomach tightened. He had sensed hostility from some of the vampire nobles before, but now it felt closer, sharper. He remembered whispers from the first trial, glances filled with amusement or contempt. "They don't think I belong here," he realized. And they're right. A sudden flicker of movement caught his eye. A figure darted behind column. Before Ethan could react, the figure attacked. It was a vampire, smaller and lean, but fast, almost impossibly so. Its eyes glowed yellow, and fangs glinted in the dim light. Ethan barely dodged a swipe that would have torn through him. Selene's voice rang out sharply. "Stay alive, Ethan." The rogue vampire lunged again, and Ethan rolled to the side. He grabbed a broken piece of marble from the floor and swung it. The vampire hissed and disappeared into the shadows, leaving only a faint trail of smoke. Ethan's heart raced. They're trying to kill me inside the palace? He realized that this was more than a game. It was a test of survival. Not just the princess's tests, but the hidden politics of the vampire court. Someone wanted him dead. Selene stepped closer, her presence commanding yet oddly reassuring. Do not underestimate them, she said. Some vampires see you as a joke. Others see you as a threat. Either way, tonight, you must survive both the trials and them. As they moved deeper into the hall, Ethan noticed a secret passage partially hidden behind a tapestry. Curiosity sparked in him. Maybe this is the way to avoid the attackers, he thought. But as he stepped forward, the floor shifted beneath him, revealing a pit. He barely jumped back in time. Selene's lips curved into a faint smile. Clever, she murmured. But the real test is not avoiding danger. It is facing it. Suddenly, the rogue vampire appeared again, this time with several others. They moved like shadows, attacking from every direction. Ethan had no weapons, only his wits. He ducked, rolled, and used the columns as cover. Each step was a gamble, each breath heavy with fear. Then, just as one vampire lunged for him, Selene appeared, moving like lightning. She struck with deadly precision, fangs bared, forcing the attackers to retreat. Her eyes met Ethan's for a brief second. She wants me alive, he realized. But why? After the fight, the hall fell silent again. The air was thick with tension, the faint smell of blood lingering. Ethan's mind raced. He had survived, but barely. The nobles' plot was clear now. They wanted to humiliate him, maybe even kill him. And Selene, she had saved him, but only at the last moment. As they walked forward, Selene's expression softened. You are braver than I expected, she said. But remember, courage alone will not keep you alive. You must be clever, and sometimes you must trust me. Ethan nodded, though he did not fully understand. Trusting a vampire princess in a palace full of enemies felt impossible. Yet, he could not ignore the spark of something else. Admiration, curiosity, even something like hope. Then, a whisper brushed against his ear, colder than ice. Human, you do not belong here. You will die tonight. Ethan froze. The voice was soft, cruel, and familiar. He turned, but no one was there. The hall was empty for now. Selene's eyes glinted. Do you feel it? She asked. The real threat is closer than you think. And it's only just begun. Ethan realized, with a chill that ran down his spine, that surviving the trials was only the beginning. The hidden enemies, the dangerous politics, and Selene's deadly games were all intertwined. One mistake, one hesitation, could mean the end, not just for the trials, but for his life. And deep down, Ethan knew. The night had grown darker, and the hidden threat was watching, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Ethan had faced shadows, attacks, and deadly tricks, but nothing prepared him for what came next. Selene led him into a room that looked ordinary at first. High ceilings, polished black floors, and walls lined with mirrors. But the moment they stepped inside, the doors slammed shut, and the mirrors shimmered, reflecting not the hall, but strange visions. This, Selene said softly, her red eyes glinting, is the trial of heart and mind. Here, you will face illusions that test what is most important to you. Only those who choose wisely will survive. Ethan swallowed hard. He felt fear creeping in, but he nodded. He had survived the physical dangers. Now he had to survive the mind games. The mirrors rippled like water. Suddenly, he saw Selene in danger, surrounded by fire, her screams echoing in the hall. His heart jumped. I have to save her, he thought. Without hesitation, he ran toward the vision, but the floor beneath him twisted and shifted. The image disappeared. Then another illusion appeared, Selene laughing, holding his hand, whispering that they would be happy together. But a shadow loomed behind her, dark and menacing. Ethan felt doubt creep in. Is this real, or just a test? He realized the room was designed to confuse him. Every step required judgment. Every choice could be fatal. I must trust myself, he whispered. A corridor opened on the left, showing a path lined with memories, his childhood, his family, his fears. The walls whispered temptations. Run. Leave his place. You're not strong enough. But Ethan remembered why he was here. He remembered Selene's gaze, the danger he had already faced, and a spark of something daring inside him. He chose the path forward. Suddenly, the illusions became more intense. He saw his friends captured, his city under attack, and even himself falling into endless darkness. Panic rose in his chest. He wanted to cry out, to run, to give up. Selene's voice echoed around him, calm but firm. Do not let fear control you, Ethan. Courage is not enough. Wisdom and heart must guide you. Ethan closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and focused. He remembered the rogue vampires, the attacks, and the way Selene had saved him, not just out of duty, but because she had trusted him to survive. His choice became clear. He would face the danger, protect those who needed him, and trust in the truth of his heart. When he opened his eyes, the illusions around him reacted. Shadows shrank, fires vanished, and the twisted corridors dissolved. In front of him, Selene stood, smiling, not cruelly, but warmly, almost humanly. You have done well, she said. Not many humans could face what you just did. You proved courage, wisdom, and heart. Ethan's chest heaved with relief, but his mind raced. He had survived for now. Yet something in the shadows of the room moved, almost imperceptibly. He noticed a faint figure watching them, silent, patient, waiting. Before he could ask, Selene's voice dropped to a whisper, almost teasing. There is one final danger tonight, Ethan. One that will not be illusions, one that will test everything you've learned. Are you ready? Ethan's stomach twisted. He had faced games, attacks, and illusions, but now he sensed something worse. Something real. His fear mixed with a strange excitement. This is it, he thought. The final trial, or the ultimate threat. Selene's eyes glowed brighter, her smile sharp and thrilling. Prepare yourself, human. The next step will decide if you're truly worthy of standing by my side. And just as the words left her lips, the figure in the shadows stepped forward. Ethan's heart froze. It was the rogue vampire from before, but this time it was different, stronger, deadlier, and it had brought allies. The room, a soft glow surrounded them, the palace itself seeming to acknowledge the union. For the first time, Ethan felt a strange sense of belonging in this dangerous, beautiful world of vampires. He knew that challenges would come, that the world of vampires was full of intrigue and peril. But for now, he had won Selene's trust, and perhaps something deeper. Selene leaned closer, her voice almost a whisper. You have passed every test, human. But remember, life with me is never simple. Are you ready for what comes next? Ethan smiled, feeling the thrill of adventure and the weight of responsibility at the same time. I'm ready, he said. The night outside was quiet now, but Ethan knew this was only the beginning. He had survived the Vampire Princess's games, won her trust, and claimed his place by her side. The palace, the trials, and the hidden threats had all tested him. But he had proven that even a human, ordinary as he seemed, could rise to meet a world of monsters. And as Selene's hand found his, Ethan realized one thing with perfect clarity. His life had changed forever. He was no longer just a human. He was the future husband of the Vampire Princess, standing on the edge of a thrilling, dangerous, and unforgettable destiny.